Hey, hi, I'm Chad Stevens from Whitetail Woodcraft. Today in this video we're going to talk about gun cleaning, proper field care and maintenance and post-field care maintenance of your firearm, and what not to do that may damage your firearm. Safety first. I'm going to prove that this weapon is unloaded. Okay, that's very important. And I was trained, a system to understand that first, always treat all guns are always loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. Never let your muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. And be sure of your target and beyond. Those are words to live by. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is there's no magazine. All right, there's nothing in the chamber, and I'm going to prove that visually and physically. I'm going to stick my finger in there, and that works at all times, even in a dark morning or evening outside your car when you're uncasing or recasing your firearm. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the bolt action, the bolt out. Okay, now it's impossible to fire. I looked on the barrel. Okay, prove that it's safe. Check the muzzle. Okay, make sure there's no obstructions. Okay, now the first thing I do for care and maintenance of firearm is when returning from the field, if it's damp conditions at all, or or even really cold, as compared to, like, maybe you're going to bring this firearm into your vehicle or camp. The first thing I do when I come in is, I'm gonna wipe this down with a dry towel. Okay, get the heavy moisture off it. First thing, and maybe pull that bolt out. I'll pull a bolt out and wipe it down as well. Now this rifle in particular is a CZ model 455 with a Boyd stubble stock on it. It's a nice, accurate little 22 that I use for training. It's also nice, almost about a 9-pound firearm, which I like pre-season because it sort of, I get a few walks in and I'm out with it quite a bit, and it keeps me in condition. Helps get used to carrying firearms. So when I go into season, I'm ready to go. So one of the first things I do, I'm gonna wipe that off when I come in from the field, and maybe it's raining or snow, and then in half an hour I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna give it another wipe, because it's likely gonna sweat. If it's colder outside than your camp or vehicle, it's going to sweat, and there's going to be moisture beat up on it. I'll wipe it down again, and particularly pay attention that the muzzle is dry and that there's no beads in the muzzle. You can even tape it with, say, electrical tape or a balloon or something if you like. In the field, it will not affect your accuracy in any way. It'll blow off with the shot. Okay, so that's basically it, and then maybe I'll get, I'm going to get comfortable, and, maybe we're going to pass around a few stories of what happened for the day, and then I'm going to come back to this, and I have a rag that in my cleaning kit all the time that I use. It's got oil on it, and I'm going to wipe it down again. I'll go over the whole thing, and the bolt, and then maybe I don't necessarily clean a rifle every day that I'm using, but I do make sure that the moisture doesn't build up on it. And it's important to know there's two camps of firearm cleaning. There's the fanatical and there's the complacent, and both of them cause damage to the firearms. The fanatical people, sometimes without understanding it, are using heavy steel rods, heavy steel brushes, and aggressive copper fouling components on their rifles that can damage the bore, the rifling and the muzzle crown if done improperly. So I stay away from that stuff. Removing heavy copper fouling it's another tutorial in itself. Now to clean this, basically I've got it's just a basic gun vise that I've bought. This one in particular is a gun slick, and it's good. It sits in there firmly, and you can clamp it down by camming these levers over. It'll actually vise that in there, and I like that for cleaning and if I'm mounting scopes and that type of thing. But for cleaning purposes, so I've got a brass rod here. Brass or carbon rod is what you'd like, and these are just traditional Hoppy's number 9 solvent in a spray, which you can actually spray right up the muzzle if you so choose, which I tend to stay away from. I don't like to use too heavy a solvent or oil. You don't want it running around, getting in the lower parts of your trigger group, or and accumulating there. It can actually be detrimental in a manner. It gathers dust and crud and it sticks in there. So I don't try not to overdo it. So just a little shot on that, and all over my wife's kitchen. She'll enjoy that. But I'll clean that up later. So this is we're just going to insert this from the bolt end. Okay, so we've got that in. It's solvent on that other patch. So okay, so this is the solvent. All right. So first pass is with solvent. Okay, and one direction only, through the barrel, the same way the bullet goes. You don't want to damage your rifling by or leave anything lodged within the muzzle by drawing it back through. So I'll pull that back out. What we're going to do is we're going to run solvent through it until we see on the patches that it's no longer picking up a lot of carbon fouling, and that's basically all we're doing here. Okay, so this is a solvent. It's not a really aggressive solvent, and it will remove a small amount of copper fouling, but mostly it's the carbon fouling that you're concerned about. Immediately after field use, and that is if you don't take some steps to remove that, it can cause, moisture can collect in that copper fouling and create rust, and that's the part where people that don't clean them at all are taking the chance with. If depending on where you live and the relative humidity and that sort of thing, in humid environments, it's going to cause more damage than dry environments, and you'll have some people say they don't clean them almost never, and then there's those that are cleaning them too often and just causing damage. Or the other thing is once you've sighted your rifle in and you have it shooting where you want it, some of that is dependent on the state of your bore. So if you're not oh man, alright, we're going to go up. I managed to do this before without any problems, but so once you've lined your rifle up and you have a shooting wall, the state of the bore, is consistently shooting wall. Some guys don't like to change that at all. and therefore they don't clean their rifle until such a time as it starts to affect accuracy. And that's usually quite a few rounds. Like I lots of these 22s, I mean, you might put 200 or 300 rounds through it before it'll affect the accuracy at, to any degree. So, and that all, depending on too much carbon fouling, can create pressure problems that affect accuracy and how tight your bore is, that sort of thing. So it's important to pay attention to that. Then after we've pulled the patches out and they're coming through black, and then the last ones there's hardly anything on it. I'm confident that I've got the majority of the carbon fouling out, and I'm going to run one oil patch through, one wet oil patch, and then I'm going to run that through. And the important thing here is you can also damage your rifle by shooting a wet oiled bore. At 22s, maybe in 12 to 1600 feet per second. I don't know. It's probably still enough to damage that under high pressure. You're driving oil through there, oil droplets through the bore at high pressure. Definitely in high velocity rifles at 3,000 feet per second, you can cause bore damage by driving oil droplets through it. So you can leave it like this. You can leave it wet for storage, but you should always. It's not totally necessary. You should always remove the oil out of it, heavy oil out of it, before shooting. And because I shoot often, and sometimes it's varmint related, and it happens quickly, I always keep my bores dry. It'll still have a thin film of oil on it, be sufficient to protect it, and so we're going to run another dry patch through there. Run another dry patch through, and then it's pretty much safe to shoot. Now, after I've done the bore, I'll do the bolt at minimum, and I take one of these solventy patches, is fine, and just give it a good rub down. This is probably the highest tech piece of your firearm, so therefore you want to take care of it. Make sure that it's not building up on the extractor area too much. If you have too heavy carbon fouling in there, it'll be difficult to, it'll cause problems extracting or whatever. So I will use a solvent patch and give it all a good wipe, and then I go back to my oil patch and wipe it down as well. And the same thing, I don't use too much. It just requires a thin film, because you don't want it to gum up on you. You get that heavy oil, and heavy oil causes problems with dust and debris collection, and also congealing in cold temperatures. And so that, and I'll wipe it down probably with that oily rag as well, and pay particular attention to your crown. Any pitting in the crown or in the bore itself can definitely cause accuracy issues, inconsistencies, and the only cure if you pit it badly is to is to take it to a smith and have it turned down and re-crowned. Okay, so that's about it. For cleaning and maintenance, you know, I'll wipe the trigger group down as well. I don't typically take them down that much. I keep them out of I take care to keep them out of the debris and dirt while I'm in the field. So it's not necessary for me to pull my trigger group that often. It can be, and again, some guys like to take them down at the end of the year and do the whole thing, and that's fine. If you're confident you're putting it back together properly and that you haven't affected the bedding, you know, the mounting of things, then that's fine. But if you have any other questions, you can contact me at Whitetail Woodcraft. It's whitetailwoodcraft705 at gmail.com. Okay, thanks.